Meeting to order for Trenton Board of Education, June 3rd, 2025, 5:30 p.m. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Gerald Trueheart.
Present.
Denise Johnson. Present. Jean Bowie. Absent. Addie Daniels Lane.
Present.
Austin Edwards.
Present.
Yolanda Lopez.
Present.
Larry Trailer.
Present.
Jeannie Weekly.
Present.
We have a quorum.
New Jersey Sunshine Law. New Jersey Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted on. On the rules of this act, the Trenton Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting be publicized, the date, time, and place, therefore posted on the website, the Times, and the Star Ledger. Formal action will take place at this meeting. Mission statement: all students will graduate with the vision for the future, motivated to learn continually, and prepared to succeed in their choice of college or career. Superintendent adoption of the agenda. We do have one item that's pulled, item R, stipend appointments, JM, summer movers. Other than that, I'd like the motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Roll call.
Gerald Trueheart.
Yes.
Denise Johnson.
Yes.
Jean Bowie. Absent. Addie Daniels Lane.
Yes.
Austin Edwards.
Yes.
Yolanda Lopez.
Yes.
Larry Trailer.
Yes.
Jeannie Weekly.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Yes. Superintendent's remarks.
Good evening, good afternoon, good evening. It's wet day, nice day, cold day, warm day, depending on where you are in the building. Thank you all for coming out this evening. Just want to send a thank you to all of our staff members for the outstanding work teaching, planning, cleaning, preparing food, meeting with parents, coaching, advising, and being there for children this year. We had a great year with a lot of awesome things that we got done, and we're excited to return next year to do more work. I am so proud of the work we've done and look forward to you all returning, those of you who are ending 10.5 month and 10 month ending your journey today. All of us 12-month people I see in the audience will be here continuing the work, but we certainly look forward to our partners coming back. This evening we also had running on a loop there on the video was our Educators of the Year. We celebrate with them. I've had the honor to celebrate with the whole group and to get to know many of them individually. And these are warriors for kids. They are awesome people in their buildings, selected by their peers. They arrive to work with a purpose to engage, excite, and to inspire, and they truly care about others around them. So I want to congratulate those individuals for their outstanding work and being selected as Educators of the Year, and also for representing Trenton. Just a quick note, on June 21st, Princeton Rowing Company and Trenton Public Schools partnered to hold an indoor regatta rowing event. I'm tired just thinking about it. We used erg machines. It was held inside, and 5 teams from Trenton, 5 intermediate teams. We've had them competing for a while now, so we're trying to grow that program, but we want to thank Princeton Rowing Club and Mr. Bruce Boyd for organizing the event, and the district for partnering with them to make that happen, so it was a really nice event. One key point, note for the summer, and I know that we've been discussing it among our group, we want to make sure we get all the resources, but just want to alert parents and students in particular that we are planning to implement a limited cell phone ban or restrictions during classroom instruction next year. We'll begin announcing the process and the procedures in the next few weeks, so stay tuned. While we do not intend to ban cell phones, that's not what we're after. We do want to limit cell phone use in classroom and areas where learning is taking place. So stay tuned for more to come. And just as a note, point of note, we do believe that devices can be a distraction, so we want to be clear about making sure that we don't have distractions in the area of the classroom. So we do have some work that we're doing right now that we'll be sharing with the schools and principals and then out to the public about how we will proceed on September 4th. I think that's the day we return. Tonight, we have two presentations on the agenda. We have our annual Student Safety Data System Report, SSDS, that will be shared by Assistant Superintendent Hope Grant and her attendance managers, which she will introduce. And we will also have the fourth quarter strategic goals progress update presented by yours truly and potentially others in the audience. So thanks for coming. Enjoy your summer. Be safe if you're out there driving and traveling. And we look forward to seeing you back in September if you're not working during the summer. Thank you. Mrs. Grant, will you introduce your team? And we can go from there.
Good evening. All right, here we are once again. I'm going to just quickly turn this over to my team. We have the school support managers, Mr. Terrence Stokes and Miss Izelda Neptune, who will be showing us the presentation and all of the gains that we've been making with the work in reducing our suspensions and making our schools, the culture and climate, more feasible. So I'm going to turn this over to them, but I'll be close by.
Good evening, board members. I hope you guys are doing okay today. The topics that we will be talking about today is our HIB, incidents of violence, incidents of vandalism, incidents of substances, incidents of weapons, nonviolent incidences, and demographic breakdown. So to begin, we're going to talk about the second reporting period incidents of HIBs. And this year we had a little bit more HIBs that went on with the school, maybe with the implementation of our new program that we just started using. And our unfounded are higher than the previous 2 years. And this year we had 33 unfounded allegations. And for our confirmed allegations, it's also higher than our previous 2 years, and that is 20 confirmed allegations. I'll pass it over to Mr. Stokes.
So this information is just for the second reporting period. And before getting into a lot of these other numbers, just want to let you guys know that this is raw data, right? There hasn't been a whole lot of analysis done. This is just raw numbers that we're presenting to you. And it's over a 3-year period, right? Typically when you have 3 years worth of data, you're able to draw some conclusions or really start to have some analysis. But we have 3 different data points in this that we're presenting. 2022, 2023, we were returning from COVID, so those numbers are an anomaly. 2023, 2024, that was the first year of implementation of the new student code of conduct, whereas this year is year 2. So we do have 3 years, but it's not 3 years under the same controlled environment. Just want to put that out there before we begin. So if we look at our incidents of violence, and this is just for the second reporting period, and that's our fights, our assaults, sexual conduct, threats of that nature. You know, we see that from last year to this year, there's been a small increase just for the second reporting period, just in the assaults and the fights. Threats have gone down, though, so that's a positive. Incidents of vandalism, and these are reported incidents. You know, we're doing pretty well in those areas, right? So arson is one that's very difficult to categorize. So you see arson on there. You know, a kid playing with matches in the bathroom. That's what that one incident is. So it wasn't like a kid was trying to set the building on fire. So I just want to make sure we understand how we categorize arson. Damage to property has gone down, and our incidents of theft are pretty much the same at the 6. False public alarm is pulling of the fire alarm. incidents of substance, right? So substance use, and we're thankful that we don't see a lot of usage in our buildings, right? The possessions have gone down, and then our distributions continue to be zero. I'll talk a little bit more when we get to the other suspensions about, the vapes, which kind of how we categorize that, all right? Weapons use and weapons possession, again, those are going down. The weapons possessions could be the Orby guns that students come to school with. Unfortunately, we live in an environment where, a high school student has to be to school at 7:30. They may be leaving their house at 6:30, 7 o'clock, walking through some communities that might not be the safest of communities, so they may have mace on them, or they may have a blade. These are things that are actually confiscated at the security checkpoint. So it's not as though they're getting into the school, brandishing them. They're confiscated at the security checkpoint, at the check-in. Our non-violent acts or our other suspensions. So this is an area that is very interesting to me, and that if it's not considered violence and vandalism, this is where we categorize the other suspensions. So when I talked about, the vapes, because that is the thing that we have seen an increase in, right? Students are being found with vapes, not vaping, but found in possession of vapes. And there have been suspensions, a rising number of suspensions for students being caught with just with a vape on their person, not necessarily using, but having a vape on their person. And these are where kind of suspension becomes a choice, right? So if we look at where we were second reporting period, over the past 3 years, there was a small increase this year, and a lot of that increase this year was for the vapes, possession of vapes. So if we compare the two, there were 160. So while there was an increase in the second reporting period, right? If we look at it over the year, right? Because this is what this is looking at from over a 3-year period, we're actually down in the incidence of violence and vandalism, but up a little for the other suspensions that are acts that are nonviolent or vandalism. And again, this is for second reporting period, so that's combining all of the categories. I misspoke initially, sorry. So year-end data. Our acts of violence and vandalism, year over year, we're up a little higher this year. We're up a little higher for the other suspensions, and our confirmed incidents of harassment, intimidation, and bullying is up. This year, beginning in January, our coordinator, our HIB district coordinator, Ms. Wyatt Simpson, she rolled out Hipster, which is an online reporting and tracking program for HIB. So that has allowed for the district now to have a better process of tracking. And there was also a directive that any allegation had to be investigated, or anytime HIB was mentioned, bullying was mentioned, that it had to be investigated. So that's that's driven some of the higher number of unfounded claims, as well as the higher number of founded claims as well. In terms of suspension, so what you have here is the number of incidents of suspension, and then the number of unique students. Those are the number of individual students that have been suspended. So again, that first year is an anomaly, right out of COVID. We've had maybe 20 more suspensions this year, and again, vapes, and then unique students, a little more than 100, maybe 120, 130 more individual unique students that were suspended this school year. This is probably what you guys want to see, the demographic breakdown of what students are being suspended, right? So Historically, our black men have been suspended at a higher rate than any other demographic throughout the district. And that continues to be the case, even though from a percentage perspective, black men probably make up less than 20% of the students in the district. Our black females still are suspended at a higher rate. Our MLL students, and then our SPED students, particularly our SPED males, right? And if I extrapolated black males out of the SPED, the black male number would even be higher. So that SPED number is inclusive of all demographics of special education students. Oh, I went the wrong way, sorry. So as I conclude and then open up to questions, as I said, these are raw numbers. Over the summer, we will sit down with the respective schools and go over their number of suspensions, their demographic information, as well as let them know what the suspensions were, right? Because we have all of that data that we share with the schools. And from there, we begin to develop plans to address, some of the concerns, some of the issues that are repetitive, and then try to do better for next school year. And I know one of the things that I'm going to be doing this summer as well as throughout the school year is really making sure that our schools understand the updated student code of conduct. It was rolled out, and after seeing what happened the first year, the impression was that, okay, people understand what's in it, right? They understand every part of it. But when going back and analyzing some of the suspensions, there was not a reliance on, I can say that there wasn't a reliance on referring to the student code of conduct when determining to issue a suspension. And some of that I'm going to take on the chin, right? Because I know I need to do a better job. And every time I speak before you at the end of the school year, it's a self-reflection for me as well, right? Because I present the numbers, but I also see every suspension. And I know that I need to do a better job of making sure that our schools understand why we redid the student code of conduct, what's in the student code of conduct, and how do we react when we see incidents that are happening in our school. We can't refer back to the old mindset of suspension is the only way that we deal with issues. Restorative practices is something that we've introduced and we embraced as a district. Social-emotional learning, we embrace that as a district, right? So we have to make sure that we're continuing in those practices and using suspension as the last resort and not our go-to. And I'll end on that and take any questions that you may have.
I do have, first of all, I want to say I'm really glad that we are reporting all instances of bullying, and it is unfortunate that the number rises, but that means that we're doing a better job at documenting these incidents, so I'm glad about that. But I had a couple of really quick questions, not profound questions. You said that mace is considered a weapon? Mace is considered a weapon?
It is considered a weapon.
Okay. And I was wondering if you could be able to tell us specifically how many incidents were nonviolent and how many were not nonviolent, violent, and how many were vandalism? Because we kind of group them together, but when I think of violent and vandalism, I'm thinking about people and property, and so I don't think there was there? Oh, okay.
Right, so if we look at the incidents of vandalism, there were 14. 14
Okay.
14 instances of vandalism. These are the violent incidents, right? And I think I have that somewhere on another chart.
Okay, I see.
I have it here.
Okay.
Right,
And
and this is second reporting period, sorry.
No. Okay, that's fine. I
You
can
good?
look at that later on. And then my very last one, because I didn't quite catch it. It was at the very end. The suspensions, did you say the children in the SPED, in special education, they're not included in the other demographics, right?
That is correct.
That's their own demographic?
Correct.
Perfect.
Same
Thank
as
you.
with the MLLs, right?
Yes.
Even though some may be Hispanic, we separate that out.
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
And we separate that out because every year we have to do a civil rights report for the feds, and this is the way that they want the data. This is the way they want the information.
We'll go to Jean, and then we'll just come on down the line.
Okay.
If you have any questions, Jean.
Okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm well.
Brother Terrence, good. So I came in late, excuse my tardiness, but one of the questions that I have, and I might have missed, is what are the drivers for the increase? Like if you look over last year and this year, and we know some of the things that were put in place last year, what are the drivers now? Is it just that folks aren't, you alluded to it later, that folks really aren't clear on what's in the code of conduct or so what's driving that increase?
So again, these are raw numbers, and there's going to be a deeper dive into
Okay.
what the drivers are, and that's when we meet with the individual schools,
Okay.
right, to give them their information.
Okay.
But just anecdotally, as things happen in the community, it's going to filter into our schools in some way, right? And while I just don't want to put a blanket statement out there to say that people aren't referring to the student code of conduct, some of the suspensions that were administered were contrary to what's in the student code of conduct. So there just needs to be a refresher, right? So we continue along the trend that we started with redoing the student code of conduct. Mrs. Grant?
So I think one of the other things is that as we see our population grow in our schools, we're going to see a little bit of an influx and change with some of our numbers. The other thing is that when we are talking about things like vapes, so students don't get suspended for the very first time they bring in a vape. On the 55th time that we continue to take it, we continue to bring it in, you refuse to give it up, it then becomes an issue that is more than just you have a vape. We also are seeing vaping and students using vape at a much younger level. So when we're talking about vaping, we are talking about youngsters who are coming in 4th, 5th, and 6th grades that have vapes. When we are looking at our HIB numbers, what Terrence said, our Hipster program is our online portal that houses all of our information. So families, community members, students themselves, staff members have the ability to now go onto our district website and fill out a form for HIB. Every single form that is submitted has to get researched, and the HIB portal provides us the template for all of the steps, all of the timelines, and everything that we need to do. So this really has made us ensured that we are doing it properly and that we are hearing situations and incidences that we may not have heard from last year.
Okay, so my question had to do with the demographic breakdown and the fact that black males and black females are suspended at a higher proportion than others. That's a discussion that's come up in special ed as well, the whole idea of disproportionality. And so just thinking ahead, and I know you said you're going to take a look at the information over the summer. So what kinds of things can we do, or are we considering to address turning that number around?
We've actually started that work. Our Mr. Earl and Dr. Conway, they've been setting up trainings for our school administrators to actually unpack the data around disproportionality as a district, but also by school, so that they can look at what is happening at their own school and develop a plan of action. And so schools have been in this process for like the last 3 months to develop a plan specific to their school, and we are submitting one on behalf of the district. So we've already started that work because it is disturbing, and we need to really unpack what's happening. And then and this is kind of going down another route, but when you look at the the SPED students, when you see the breakdown of how SPED students by race are being identified and what their IEPs are coming forward, it really gets us to question our own biases and those of the folks who are making those decisions about how students are being classified, what categories they're being classified under, and why. So we're starting that unpacking and really doing that work in order to make a change. And I think at one of our last meetings we said, so are we looking to say that we need to have more kids in other categories? No, that's not what we're saying. What we are saying is that we need to really take a step back and do a deep dive as to the how and the why and what changes we need to make in our own structure and our own organization to make sure that these numbers make a little bit more sense.
You can stay on this slide. How much is, a lot of times when kids have behavior, it's not the action that's happening right there. It's some sort of trauma-based thing that brings it to the front. It may be the principal is the trigger for the child for them to react. How much trauma healing are we doing with these kids? Because I'll bet you those numbers are reflective of trauma of some sort.
Absolutely. So we have been doing, I think we're in year 4 of our trauma-informed care work. Schools have HOPE teams, which is to look at students that are really struggling. But on the flip side of that is, and I'm going to use one of my colleagues' perfect examples. So when you look at the number of our black male students that are being identified as SPED. So for those of you in the audience that can remember, and I hope I'm going to tell the story correctly, how many times as a young boy did you maybe swing on the door of your home when you were 5, 6, or 7 years old, right? You swung on the door because sometimes that's what kids do. And are we taking situations where it really is normal student or normal child behavior and categorizing it as an identification rather than saying sometimes children need a different sort of outlet that is not necessarily a category, but just because, they're boys and maybe they need to swing on a door sometimes, and it's just, sometimes you don't know why they're swinging on doors, but they're swinging on doors. And allowing young you're saying, yeah. And allowing our students to progress out of some of that behavior. The other thing that we know that we're really trying to unpack is what are some of the cultural aspects that come with that? And that is there a difference between a student who is a foreign-born student and the and how they're feeling coming to school and the value of school than some students who are American-born students that may not have that same value, right? And so we're looking at all of those kind of things. But we are doing that trauma work, and that's part of the disproportionality work that we're doing to really kind of identify, are we talking about cultural? Are we talking about bias? Are we talking about natural student behavior that we need to kind of just be reminded of, that sometimes young folks are just going to be young folks? And at what point does that cross?
But are we doing it with those students?
Yes.
Okay, specifically. And my next question was about the substance abuse suspensions. Do we know the number of alcohol versus marijuana, and has the marijuana increased since the laws have changed?
So alcohol, we had one person that was caught in possession of alcohol. Everything else has been marijuana.
Can I go next?
Okay. No, go ahead. I'll wait.
Okay. Thank you so much for this presentation. I just wanted to confirm, so the numbers that we see on the screen, these are 152 individuals, 129
That's correct.
individuals? Okay. And you said that black males, and I'm just, because we see that, we're talking about black males, is 20% of the population.
Maybe less, but
Maybe
somewhere
less
around
than that? Okay. I wonder what the percentage is of the suspensions.
Say that one more time.
I'm wondering what's the percentage of suspensions? Like, so black males are what part, if you got 100% of suspensions, what number They are, so.
I mean, so I can do that math real quick.
Did you show, okay, I didn't know
No,
if you
I can do
showed
the
that
math
already.
real quick. We had
Yeah.
979 suspensions, right? Black males were 152. So if we just do a quick division, we
Got
can
it.
find out the percentage
Yeah.
that they
Thank
make up.
you. Okay, yep, thank you.
Actually, it would be of the unique students, not of the suspensions.
Right, and then you
It would be of the
students.
unique students. It would be of the 787. Should I do the math real quick?
About 25? How much? 16% of the unique students suspensions, okay.
Yes, 16%.
16%.
I didn't do it, 16? Okay.
That was it. No, that was it.
Okay, yes, sir.
Thank you for the presentation. I just had a question around the hipster reporting software and everything, and I wanted to know, since we have implemented this, the system, have we noticed more parents, or like, do we know the types of people that are filling out the reporting? Because I assume like parents would be more prone to report incidents.
Are you referring to hipster?
Yeah, for the hipster.
So I don't manage that system. Linda Wyatt Simpson does. I'm just reporting the numbers that, has to be reported to the state.
We can get that information.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we know who reports it. I'll get that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge something that Sister Hope said about children will be children. I was around a 7-year-old today who typically, I've seen her 3 times. 2 times she was good. Today she was somebody else. But she was, so being aware of that reality, sometimes we place expectations on children, but we lose sight of just how old he is. The child is tall, but she's still 7, she's not 10. And so thanks for bringing that up, because that's one of the realities when you look about those kind of relationships and growing children and discipline that you need to be aware of as a guy who's got 17 grandchildren and 16 great-grandchildren.
One of the things that you'll see in almost every classroom in our schools is classrooms now have calming corners, so that when students feel a little bit dysregulated, they can calm themselves down. What you'll also see as you're going in, and if you don't have one, get it, it's the greatest thing ever, are weighted stuffed animals. And you will see an increase in weighted stuffed animals in counselor's office and classrooms, and it really is a calming tool. I know there are some schools I go into, as soon as I sit down, I grab the animal, and you just kind of, and you can feel yourself just kind of calming down. And so we're trying to get to a point where we are understanding that some children's behavior is normal behavior, but how do we get it where it does not become a major disruption to the school or the classroom? Any other questions?
I don't know if you have this data yet, or this data point yet, but do you know, when it comes to the assaults and the fights, do you know what grade levels the majority of those things are happening at, whether the high school or the middle school or intermediate level?
Say middle and high school.
So that's data that, we have it. I don't have it readily available, so that's information that I can definitely get to you. Mhm.
Any additional questions from board members? Seeing no additional questions, thank you so much. Great presentation. Mr. Stokes and Hope Grant, your team. God bless you. Superintendent's Goal 4, Board Goals presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share progress around our goal work. I know we've done it a couple of times already this year, just talking about where we are in terms of goals 1 through 5 and some of the work that we committed to do with you and with our principals, with our schools, and we feel like we're making great progress. So I wanted to share a bit more about Q4 and then some year-end type progress, so you'll see some culmination of some of the events. So there are about 40 slides here, but a lot of images, so I'll go fast, and I'll do my best to go through this data very quickly, but I also want to offer the opportunity for you to ask questions. I did not reach 57. I know I see James laughing. There's a joke inside the room about 57 slides, so I'm at 48, I believe. So anything under 57 is a win in our group. So student achievement is goal 1. We've gone through this several times, so you know the goals as they're written. We talked to you, and we all talked about these goals together, but you can see the TNL staff have put some of the evidence in writing. I'm going to actually show you some data around some of the work that we've done, but this talks about all the training that's been done, the look-fors that's been developed, building agency for students, like some of the really good work that so many of our principals and our teachers and everyone in our district is committing to. It feels different, it looks different during professional development, and I want to thank all of our staff for engaging in the way that's necessary to change the paradigm in Trenton. So I give you those things, take a look at them, and if you make any notes for slide 1, I can certainly go back to. But you see tiers 2 and 3 intervention re-identified and confirmed. We are working diligently. We talked about those black males, and so you've heard about disproportionality work. We're not bashful about who we see on that. You see me on that screen. And so I want everyone to be clear that we will change that. And we're going to do everything in our power not to see that number so high and not to always see us in that number. We see it in special education referrals and classification. We see it in suspension. And as our researcher tells us and the person working with us, these are all adult decisions being made. They're in policy, they're in codes of conduct, they're in how we see people when they walk in the room, and we're desperate to change that. We do that through high-level education, high-level training, and that's what you see in some of this work. So I wanted to share some data points with you. Around in the integration of the project-based learning, you'll see PBL a lot, and we believe that an experience in learning confirms learning. When you do it through experience and not always through just I sit in the classroom. A gentleman told a great story during our Apple training about the 10 worksheets at the back of the room after he finished the first worksheet, which was powerful because that's the way it used to be. We're so desperate to get far away from that and to build agency in student learning. So here's a couple of first data points, and just wanted to share with you, ask us frequently about reading, and this gives you some idea. You can see their gains in every area. Kindergarten, the winter DRA, we don't have a fall because they come in from kindergarten, but you can see there's a +1 in growth, +5 for first grade, +5 for second grade, +7, +3, +8, +9. So we're moving in reading and the work with our kids. In 7th grade, reading progress through iReady, you can see the number of above level students, on level, and approaching level in all of the grades, 7 through 12, increasing, and the number of below level and far below level decreasing, which means our students are increasing and we're seeing more students move toward approaching, on level, above level. If you look at 7th grade, at the beginning of the year, 2% were reading on grade level. Mid-year, 6%. End of year, 12% through using iReady. And you can see if you read across on each one and down in the columns, it gives you an idea. I wanted to share with you some of the progress that we're making. And if you look at far below, that number started at 74%. And in some cases, when we walk into this work, we are deeply behind. And that's why it's urgent to work, come to work and do the work. So from 74 to 63, from 76 to 68, from 46.9 in ninth grade to 37, we're seeing kids less far below, which means they're growing toward below level, toward approaching. Is moving to below level progress from far below? You bet it is. For the student who's struggling to read, that means they read better and read more. We present reading data because we know it's the linchpin to learning. If you can read, you can do all other subjects. You can analyze, you can compare, you can contrast, you can present, you can collaborate. But when you cannot read, it is difficult. So we will stay on this work, K through 3, now 7 through 12. You will see we will continue the work and continue to look for progress. So these are just some images. Tanga students at the Watershed Institute doing a PBL, summer program, secondary multilingual students to support the continuation of language acquisition, the Rise Up program. You see a group of staff members, and I see a principal in there and a supervisor. One of our teachers won the Richard Rotter Award for Excellence in Environmental Education. You can see K6 bilingual, multilingual students working on PBL activities. We believe in getting students active. These are just some images, and this is probably just a small, deep corner of what you'll see if you go in our schools. When Larry and I went to the schools, I remember him saying, oh, it's not like what they say it is. Well, no, it's not like what they say it is. We promote that all the time. This is not what you believe it is. It's what we believe it is. We can do anything we want to do, but our students are doing great work and our staff's doing amazing getting it done. And we have that much more to do. We were so far behind. We just keep pressing. And so tomorrow is just another day to press. That's what it is. It's the summertime, but it's my time to get ready for the school year. So I'm going to call my friends up from the bilingual department. This is some of the most amazing statistics that I don't want to do injustice to try to explain it, and I want Yami to come up and just help me talk about what we see here and the staggering numbers. If you look in the second to the last column, we increased developing and reaching, I'm looking at the hyphen, from 546 to 809 students. It's a 48.17% increase in the number of students who moved to that point. So she's going to talk about the amazing data points in this slide, and then I'll share with you some of the information, and you can certainly ask any questions. I'll let you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yami Herrera. I am the supervisor of the bilingual ESL department for the little ones, K6. And Jared Velasquez here is my colleague for the 712 world. So just as Mr. Earl was saying, these numbers are astounding because it shows that what we have been doing for the past 2 years is finally showing up. So one of the most impressive things that we're seeing is that our multilingual learners that require ESL and or bilingual supports exited by 36%. That is a huge number. That basically means that we have less students needing these supports, so we can have these supports allocated for our influx of MLs that we see growing at an astounding 8 to 10% every single year. The next thing that was unbelievably amazing was that 48%, almost 50% of our students have achieved English development skills that will allow them to exit out as long as we continue to work with them through the programs that we have been doing for the past 2 years. So these are the students that if we continue to work with them, we could consider them the bubble students or the low-hanging fruit. They're the ones that have the most potential to exit the program. So if we think about this, this is 400 students that we could potentially move out of ML support and open it up for our other students coming in. Two things that I really wanted to speak on is, out of these 36% in exits, an astounding 40% came just from the 712 world, because we've instituted a mid-year exit. So these are students that have classically been in the program for more than 5 to 7 years. They're called the lifers, that we just cannot exit out. And so Jared Velazquez was able to establish a program that we were able to exit some of these students out. And astoundingly, we did 40%, which we have not seen those numbers in many years in the 7 to 12 world, right? So that's really, really impressive. Two things. We grew the most in the writing domain, and that is impressive because traditionally that is the one area that students struggle the most, or the one skill that takes the most amount of time to develop. And so seeing this 4.4% increase is amazing. And really this is due to the fact that we have finally established a writing program that is also supported for our multilingual learners using the core resource school-wide. So last year and this year, we worked with our curriculum writers to create a program that really fit the needs of our multilingual learners. And then the other thing that I really wanted to focus on that spoke to what Mr. Earl was saying on our rise of literacy was we grew by 3.5% in oral proficiency. That's amazing. That is a testament to the dedication that we have done as a district to have K-12 strategic professional development in the area of sheltered English instruction. So if you've been here for a while, the previous practice was our sheltered teachers would have a 15-hour sheltered training. That's it, we're done. So as of last year, this hopefully being the second year, we've instituted a year-long strategic and very powerful professional development through a consultant, Jared and myself going in to do demo lessons with teachers of MLs. That doesn't include just bilingual teachers and ESL teachers, but at this point, gen ed teachers, shelter teachers, administrators. So everyone is getting the same message to make content accessible for our multilingual learners. And really, it's not just our multilingual learners, it's really the best practices for all of our students, because all of the students in Trenton are coming in learning a second language, because many of them come in learning academic languages. So,
Thank you.
any questions?
Well, at the end.
Okay, wonderful.
Don't go anywhere.
Oh, okay.
No, you can have a seat, and then I'll finish, and then you can.
Thank you.
If they have questions. So I would have been able to explain it, but not like that. So thank you so much. Such powerful data as they were sharing with me. So this is essentially the same thing that she just shared. So I wanted to break it back out so that when you read all of those lines and those numbers, you have some data points that you can actually use to share out to the public. And this is going to be posted online anyway. So just wanted to share that with you. And she talked about some of the strategies, and K-12 PD focused on academic language, higher order questioning, thinking, collaborative dialogue with Costa's levels. You'll see that throughout this presentation when it comes to teaching and learning. So this is just some of the same information that Ms. Herrera shared a few minutes ago. Let's see. Okay. Oh, touching the wrong button. All right. And then we broke this out at a glance. And so there are 3 slides at a glance by grade level. And I won't go through each bit of information because that data that you just saw breaks this out one more time by grade band. But what you can see is what drove growth. If you ask sometimes, what are we doing? That's the area. And if you see strategic, data-informed instruction and planning at the early grades, professional development. When we go to the 4-6, targeted professional development, always focused. We talk about that. That's a goal area, targeted and focused professional development, and I'll be sharing data about that work in just a few minutes. And the same thing in this slide. So all 3 slides give you at a glance some of the work that we've been doing to get to that point around Access 2.0 data and for ML kids. All right, and then AVID, of course, we implemented our AVID elective, advancement via individual determination. This is just an image of the work that they started doing. It's our first year into the course, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, we did it either halfway through the year or we started the full year, but it's going to be amazing, the work that young people will do through this program. And it's building that strong foundation to present, to be confident about your work, to compete in a world where competition is the thing that you have to do, healthy competition, but being academically sound. But these students did a couple of PBLs and a career day opportunity. So look forward to more images and more information and more invitations to go see this in action. So I think you'll be excited about it. Goal 2, community engagement and partnerships. We shifted a bit because we accomplished some things that we decided to accomplish in Goal 2. We had already implemented registration, so this year we had an opportunity to pre-register students returning from STEM Civics. That was a huge success. The whole team went over there. We came back here, scheduled meetings for parents, group meetings, days by grade level, individual meetings, so that everyone at this point is registered who wants to come back to Trenton. Then we heard that they are open again, so that's another whole story. Open enrollment has kicked off. And then we work closely with the preschool. Ms. Carmichael and Mr. Ortiz worked on a plan to be able to register as many students. I think we're up in 829 or something like that. Typically, those students come in the summertime in those long lines, so we've registered most of them now. So we're desperate to eliminate the long lines. So we are calling people, we'll stay longer. We've scheduled already evening sessions so that parents and families can come in. So it's a lot of work engaging with the community and understanding their needs too. The extravaganza is coming up, so you're all invited. So if it's hot, dress appropriately, bring plenty of water. So hopefully we don't have a rainstorm on that day, but it's really a nice event. Lots of families, you get to meet people, they get to see you in a different way out in the space. If you haven't been, please make every effort to come. And then around communications, we're doing some really cool work around the logo. We involve the whole community to get information. We've gotten that information. We're actually at a good place right now to share the new logo, which I'll do in July with the board, and it encompasses what the community and what you and everyone, all the stakeholders, some of the images like the bridge, and it'll tell a story. We're gonna have a video that tells a story about Trenton and how we got there. So we're doing that work, connecting with the community, but a lot of good work, because I'm not a Trenton native, so it wouldn't have been as important to me to stay red and black or to use a bridge and a logo or those things, but it was clear from people like Addie and many of my colleagues, Paula Bethea, who they were calling us out like, oh, absolutely not, it's not up for discussion. So we are very proud of the work that our community, the whole school community and the whole community did in responding. These are some of the examples of the image. You can see the gold dome, the Capitol building that captures the city. These are some of the things we had to choose from. So from that, we had to make one or two, one seal and then one image. But it was interesting what the families and what everybody chose as the top things to include in a logo, but it was really engaging. This is the South Ward School naming. We have had our meetings. You can see the stadium here was packed with a lot of good information about our candidates on June 18th. And then we met before that on June 3rd, I think it was a day that we met here. So I want to thank the chair of the facilities committee, Ms. Weeklam, and Mrs. Grant, Ms. Glennon, see Janice Williams. There were several people who led the effort to get our team in. We will begin scoring the candidates in mid-June. We've gotten all the information now. We've heard from the public, so our goal is to engage everyone. So this is about including the community. People have voice in the decision-making about naming the new school. If you don't know about the brushstrokes of Trenton, this is our mural project. We talked about those around the district. Many of our schools have already started. You can see the one in the left, the welcome in different languages. Some of those, that's kind of an art mural project. If you look at the very top of that, you can see the Cadwallader cat. What are they, the lions, or what is their, whatever their mascot is, they will paint that in. And then you'll see some amazing work around the district. The goal around the mural project was community engagement and partnership. So we want to bring to life in our schools the community through art and murals. So when you go in, you should see some probably images of the bridge, potentially images of that neighborhood, many images of students, and then some educational images through art. So we had a great opportunity with some grant funding, and we took advantage of it. So you're going to see some really cool things, I think, happen in the schools through Goal 2. Developing the whole child, just amazing work here. We already talked about trauma-informed care and the years that we've been in there. You've seen some of this progress already in print. And so just to talk about what happened in March, April, and May, Dr. Conway leads this work and gets out to the school, but many of our principals have taken this and made it their life's work in the building. Because if we develop the whole child and understand their whole self, we get a better student in school, and we want them to be focused on academics. So you can see some of the great work being done. I won't read it all to you, but the NJ Sky results are the a New Jersey School Climate Inventory. Is that right, Dr. Conway? Yes? Okay, School Climate Improvement. So you're going to see some of the work here that we've done. And we put some numbers up here because I thought it was important. Students grade 3 through 5, what they rate highest and what they rate lowest. And so you'll actually see the lowest negative student interpersonal behaviors throughout the district in almost all grades. But the highest is sense of belonging for students, supports for student SEL is a high number. And even those last two, they're over the threshold. But when you get down into 2.42 and 2.35, those are areas we flag because we have to do that work. And you see that also in suspensions. Behaviors sometimes lead to suspensions. And as Mr. Stokes said a few minutes ago, we're going to have to wrap our heads around what's truly a behavior that warrants suspension versus something that's normal behavior. And even if it's a little outrageous, can we reset a student and keep them in school? You can see the results in grades 6-12, supportive staff and student relationships was a high number, physical safety was a high number, supports for student SELs, social and emotional learning, but again, negative student interpersonal behaviors. Who controls that? Students. Who teaches them? We do. And then, of course, you can see the same number, the lowest scoring domains around what parents said here. So this is very interesting around developing the whole child. And then staff results. Staff rated organizational resources. So we need to dig into that and find out what that means because we need to see that number move. Do they need resources that we supply? Does that come from the school? Can we get more input? And that came up recently in a training I was in from another district. It came up as the same concern from staff. So we do want to dig into the data now that we have it, make some decisions about how we change perceptions or change reality, really, for our staff members. And this is the overall data and the way you see it. If you go across the top shows you the students in the grade bands, then the parents and caregivers. So you have this information, and the public will have it. So you get an opportunity. Many of our principals see their data and have seen this data, but that's where those bar graphs came from. So this is just the full chart of the information, so you can kind of get a look at how they were, how they scored. So, and we scored well in a lot of areas. I think if you go below, what's the threshold to go below? 2.5. Anything below 2.5 gets flagged. So when you see numbers in the threes, that's we're in a good place, or at least a better place. Maybe we can get, and that's out of 4, correct? Yeah, scores range from 1 to 4. On the right, it gives you a little bit of information. All 15 schools have met at least one prioritized area. Schools have been, we are in the 3rd year, I think, and we had pilot schools. So some of the schools are in their 3rd year of doing this work and have already implemented strategies to address some of what they see in their NJ Sky data. So staff development and well-being, we've worked really hard to do that work. You can see some of the goals there. 100% of the professional development sessions supported one or more strategic goals. We typically don't add anything that's not related to a strategic goal. And you can see we survey our staff after PD. You can see we went to Apple, and we have some images on Monday and Tuesday with the entire administrative staff, all 85 people who could come. I think we had in the 70s, but just had a good day learning why we implement Apple EDU. It is not for the device. We could have done it with Google. You can do it with anything. It's about mentality, paradigm shift. How do we engage learners differently in the 21st century to get them learning, to help them learn now? So we've spent time doing that. Over 100% increase professional development sessions led by staff. So we do get staff to actually lead development sessions, professional development on purpose. Why? Because eventually we don't want to pay for it. We want to become our own experts and turnkey. But until that time, we'll spend the money that we have to do so. Ultimately, we would love to see staff do more professional development. And you can see some of the responses. I wanted to provide you some data here with charts. Out of 1,362, I think we have around 1,800 people here. I don't know that number factually, but student achievement was rated as the number one. What strategic goal did professional development sessions support? People said it. Over 80% said student achievement, and that just from their mouths to from their lens to us, that we're supporting student achievement through professional development more regularly than not. And then you can see the other areas if you read the chart. On the bottom chart, what was the professional development? Was it relevant to your work? 96.1% of the people said yes. And we're starting to see that grow some because we're asking the questions, what do you want? We feel like we know what they need, but we're getting input, and that helps when you do that. These are some of the examples of professional development topics facilitated by staff. So you can see that these are led by the people in district. Some fun things, and some help other teachers, other educators learn. There's also Micah taking a walk. She didn't invite me on. So here we have over 1,300 employees were enrolled, and 23 employees received gift cards for completing the wellness incentives. And we hope to increase that. And on the next page, you'll see some of that. You get, depending on what you do and some of the cool things, you can get money for this. So we hope to dangle money out there, and it certainly creates a healthier district. Hopefully we see less people having to be away from the school building or the office when they're healthier. So we want to continue to promote this. And these are some of the other activities through Wellness Matters, line dancing, swimming, yoga, wellness walks, those types of things, and the location. And the facilitators' names, you can see Hope Grant actually did a wellness walk. Around staff development and well-being, we hold care team meetings. This is interesting data because we think we know why students don't come to school, but this tells you out of all the 548 responses, care team meetings that we had, 267 responses said it was a health issue as the reason they don't come to school. Transportation is an issue, but we break that down into a bit more, much more information so that you can see it. So you can see in kindergarten, 86 responses were from kindergarten. That's 15.7%. We always talked about kindergarten being the highest number of absences in the district. They don't drive, right? They can't walk by themselves. And in some cases can't ride a bike. We break that data down in the transportation issue. Too far to walk? No, they actually say the greatest number was no reliable way to get to school. And so this gives us information for how we might, as a district, address issues. And if you go into home issues, cares for younger siblings, what's number one? Student oversleeps. So how do you overcome a student sleeping? Do we arrive at the house? So we wanted to give you this data so that you can see what the actual breakdown of why students really don't, or what we're hearing from parents. And care team meetings involve the parents, the family, the student, the administrators, and different people in the school. It's a whole group trying to impact attendance and get students into school more regularly. And March Madness, our attendance challenge winners, elementary K3 was Gregory Elementary. It's cool, they were able to get Xboxes. Perfect attenders got Xboxes, and the others got Nintendo Switch. So these are cool images. Thank you to the principals. You can see the 4-6 group was Hedgepeth Williams, and you can see their team. Just cool stuff that we're trying to do to get students excited about coming to schools. And then our 7 to 12 group was Dunn Middle School. And we had some winners there. We couldn't give out as many prizes, no bikes this year, but we may find a donor who can help us do that. That's what we're looking for, donate a bike. This was Apple training for administrators. I talked about it a few minutes ago. We all got on a train. For those who went on the train, the majority, large majority, went on the train up and had a day with Apple determining what this is all about, why we do it, how it's going to impact our district, how it's going to impact our students. So I wanted to share some images of the administrators, and I appreciate them taking the time because it was a busy time. It was right after graduation on that Monday and then again on that Tuesday, the hottest days, right? It was hot, so, but a really neat time. We learned a lot about not just Apple education, but who we are in this district, what we're willing to commit to through that training. And it was purposeful for me not to learn more about Apple, but for us to do something together, learn more about each other as a team, and prove that we can do this. Apple, when you go into their universe, we're wondering what's everybody drinking because they're all excited, they're all happy. And I know that's not life, but we can arrive at our work in that way. Because we know that's a more productive way to lead. Finance and facilities, you've seen some of the things that we've done. This is kind of the culmination. We have accomplished everything in that area in Goal 5, and we were just finishing up lighting in June. I think we got there, or we're close, so we're so excited about many of the projects, and we will assume a few more in the new year. So we'll spend time figuring out what needs to be done and make sure that we get that done in our, and the budget was done on time. Those are all things I talked about at the Q3. Human resources, we had over 17 career fairs, many hiring events. We had virtual hiring events. So we really did a great job. We had more than 20 individuals that secured NJDOE certifications that came from either substitutes or pairs. So a lot of good information there. And then you can also see some of the results of that hard work. Over 253 new hires. And for the first time, we're starting to see that number of vacancies go down. Some schools are saying, hey, I'm fully staffed, and we're going, okay. And then some aren't. And we worked really hard. Just want to thank our associations for working with us to be able to transfer people around to fill some of the hard to fill bilingual education positions, some special education positions that were hard to fill for multiple years. So just really good work in district. And that's the end of the presentation. I know it was lengthy, but tried to get through it very quick.
I'm gonna go down.
And I'll take any questions you have
We're gonna start
at this
down,
time.
Larry, and we'll work our way this way.
Okay? All right.
I'm just trying to gather my thoughts. Thank you for this great presentation, a lot of great information here. I think it definitely reinforces everything that I saw visiting the schools. I know you mentioned that earlier in the conversation, but I think, we're seeing a lot of investments in not just the school community and the culture, but also the infrastructure, making sure that our schools are some of the best in the state for our students. So deeply appreciate that. I don't have any questions at this moment, but I might come back around.
Well, I don't have any questions, but I do want to say I am ecstatic to hear about the exiting of our students from the bilingual program. That's something that I've been asking for years, literally for years. So I'm just really happy. I can't take the smile off my face. I keep thinking about it. So thank you very much for that work, guys. I know that we've been working on that for a while now, and we're finally seeing some of the fruit. Also, another thing that I think is really great is to know that the shelter training is being extended throughout the year. I think it should be a lot more effective, and apparently it is because it's showing through. And the other thing is, I will make sure to get 1 or 2 bicycles for March Madness for next year.
All right.
Yes. Thank you so much.
We should have a contest to see who gets the most bikes. So we'll have it hooked up. So that way we can give some away.
So a board competition, right? That would be for us, something to do?
Yeah. You don't have to get the most. All of us get 1 bike. How about that? If you can commit to it. Not forced.
All right. Well, Superintendent, I definitely want to start off by saying that I really appreciate such a well-done and well-formed comprehensive report. I can definitely understand why James came out and said that the goal was to keep this under 50 slides. But these are really good problems to have all this information showcasing, right, the great work that we're doing, how we're committing to our goals, and how we're achieving them. First, I did want to say, and all this is praise, all right? So, you're good. You're good here, all right?
I'm good with wherever you go with it.
First, great job making sure that the community was involved as much as possible throughout all of this, right? I keep saying all the time, I'm the community guy, and as many people that we can get involved in this as possible to make the lives of our children that much better. It's an investment that just pays dividends time and time again, and you are really committing to that. So I just want to say thank you for that. I think you highlighted that in the first few slides. For professional development, I love the classes that you had our teachers, our staff, our administrators take for the members of the public. We too pretty much have to go to class, right, as board members, right? You know, the state literally mandates that we have a certain amount of credits that we do. And seeing the amount of classes that they did and the topics, the way that it ranged, right, really fall in line with some of the topics that we address and the things that we get classes for were amazing. So keep up the great work on that. I love the slide, specifically the one that had the barriers to education, right, and how detailed that data was. I know even with Mr. Stokes in his presentation, right, you know, we're constantly looking just to have this data and understand exactly what's going on. So, you know, that level of detail across the board that we've seen today is spectacular, right? So thank you for providing that information, because it helps us form, right, some of these policy decisions that we have to make.
Right, right.
And finally, just to keep it short, I did have a few comments and questions. First and foremost, shame on Micah for not inviting you to the Trenton Downtown Fit Group. All right, listen, we run every Tuesday night, Thursday night, Saturday morning. More than welcome to come and meet us on the corner of Warren Street and Lafayette, right? You know, it's nice. It's nice. Good.
I didn't really say that for real. Go ahead.
Come on. I do want to also ask Ms. Toller, right? Because I saw there were a lot of connections with schools outside. All right, we got to make sure we get that Howard Connect going, all right, with all the outreach that we're doing.
Yes.
And then finally, I really want to know, where's my Xbox? All right, we're giving our Xboxes left and right. What's happening now? I'll settle for a Switch, but, you know, I'm just saying, I show up to work every day.
So Hope is doing an attendance check for all of you now, and if your attendance is good, we'll get you one. So.
The most board member attendance, all right, you know, gets an Xbox. All right, I think we can commit to that. But no, seriously, thank you for the amazing work that you guys do, day in, day out.
Thank you, Superintendent. I just have a couple of questions. That acronym AVID, what does that stand for? You mentioned it, but I was typing, I couldn't get it.
Advancement via individual determination.
Okay.
Advancement
Individual determination.
via individual determination.
Okay.
If you type it into Google, you'll get a whole bunch of information about AVID. But it's a college readiness preparation type program. It builds foundations for the student who's academically sound or approaching and may not have all of the resources they need to get prepared to go to college or a career.
Okay.
It really kind of brings forward all of those cool things around students.
And my last question, I just had it, I apologize, hold on. I see it here. Brushworks of Trenton. Tell me a little bit more about that program. Like, does the district connect with local arts communities like artworks or, okay.
No.
Okay.
So not necessarily. So at central office, we will have an artist who will do some art here because I can't do art.
Okay.
But in the schools, we've given the schools the opportunity to hire in-district staff, artists, art teachers, but not everyone who's teaching art. They're not the only artists. We have a ton of people. So we have teams in schools that have identified spaces and are really doing some creative work. And we have many more potential images that we can share, but we put a few things up, sketches, so you could see this already in the works. So, yeah, they'll be inside the school. Yep, if you walk into a school, you can probably go down hallway. Some may have many, some may have one. The goal was to bring the community to life in the school through art and murals. Mm-hmm.
Not me. I want to thank you for this presentation. It was really well done. I'm excited to see that the bilingual program the kids are exiting finally. It's always seemed like nobody ever gets out of there. I also want to say you forgot to mention the library over at McKnight.
I did in the last presentation of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I shared images of it.
People need to see that. It's just amazing.
Pretty cool.
But thank you. You know, the road forward looks really promising, and I think we're all headed in the right direction. And I want to thank everybody for their time and commitment to this. I think we're just putting out better kids. So thank you.
So, good evening. I don't have any specific questions. Certainly, the information presented was all-encompassing, and that was the whole point of the goals, to touch on very strategic areas that, in fact, needed to be addressed. So, again, I have no questions, and very happy to see the progress in front of me, and it kind of brings back a lot of the things that you were sharing with us during the school year in our interim reports. So, again, this just highlighted and made it a little bit more visual. So, thank you for that. No questions.
Yes, so I don't have any questions either. I mean, just a few observations. The first observation is growth is amazing. If you think for the past 3 years, that's what we've been talking about, growth. And to see that slide, and you know, I'm the guy who's always asking about reading scores and evidence, right? And so to see growth at that level when you know where we came from, phenomenal work by everybody in the district who's doing that work for the children, and for the children for their due diligence and the time it takes, because it's not easy to go from something to nothing, right? So that was the first thing. I'm really psyched about how strategy maps to goals, and you see the evidence of the work. So we're about to go into the next 5-year strategic plan. And so just watching how that went from nothing to this evidence is phenomenal. And then that number, 253 new hires, where other places in this state are laying off hundreds of people, is phenomenal work. So thank you very much for that. And then I really really have 5. I'm on 4 now. So children learn better by doing. That project-based learning effort is real and it bears fruit. I mean, so the evidence speaks for itself. And then lastly, I'm going into my 10th year here. To see the kind of investment that this district has made in its children and in the buildings in which they go to school is nothing short of incredible. When you look at our schools, 25, that every classroom has air conditioning. Last week, the children got out, but it was 100 degrees for 3 consecutive days. Children can't learn under that kind of oppression, right? So kudos to that. And then I just think that this year was a good year. I'm the chair of operations and finance, so I see numbers all the time. We get our reports from you bi-monthly, so it's really nice, instead of just reading the notes, to actually see it on the board. So kudos to every administrator, every teacher, every janitor, and everybody that's supporting our children. So thank you very much. That was outstanding.
That's an awesome report. I think one of the things that I gleaned from your presentation, just looking over the past decade I've been on the board along with Gene, there's been a serious paradigm shift. And what I mean by that is it's been a shift in relationships, a shift in academic support and progress, even a shift in the culture. And that doesn't come by chance. That comes by strong leadership. And also it comes through stability and consistent effort. And your team and the staff who's here, the administrators who are here today, kudos to all of you who are here, our board members being consistent, going through training, mandated training, and master board membership, and all the things that we do to add value to the work that you guys are doing. We support you 100%. Please continue the good work that you're doing. The entire team that's here tonight, I see a lot of familiar faces out in the audience that I know personally and have worked with you in the past, and continue that great work, continue to be consistent, continue to be stable with the resources that we provide through the state and through the city. We'll give you everything that you need to continue that great work that you're doing. And then lastly, I did find out the Apple training is sold out. It was oversubscribed for professional development this summer. So that's a good thing, right? You can't even get into class now. I'm telling you, you better get online quick, and as it comes out. And what that says to me, right, is that people are hungry. People are engaged. I mean, I'm talking about our employees. They are excited. And so I'm really excited about the next chapter, like Gene mentioned, our next 5-year plan that goes through 2031. I mean, we have so much to look forward to, so much foundation of work that we've established over the last 5 years, and a consistency in your superintendency here in the district, doing great work in your leadership. I mean, we have sky's the limit. Actually, the sky's not the limit. We have a bigger, our limit is even higher than the sky, right? And so we have great work to continue to do. And I look forward to all of the team here participating in our next 5-year plan, because we're going to need you to contribute and be a part of the team and continue to work and strive forward for our students, because they deserve every bit of it. God bless you. Thank you, Superintendent. Any last comments from anyone? Superintendent?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Yami. I appreciate you coming up. And thank you for supporting us. We look forward to getting back to work, because there's so much more to do. For every data point you see of success, there's one behind it that's, riddled with struggle. And so we have to get to work so we can share all the data about everything and how we're really doing. So we appreciate your time, and thank you for letting us present.
So we have comments for board committee chairs next. I was first. I gave my comments already regarding the 5-year strategic plan coming up next, and finishing our superintendent evaluation process 2 weeks before the due date. So we got it very, very early and got it done this year, way ahead of time, with the support of all of the board members here, seated here. We appreciate all the efforts of our board members to get that work done. Again, in the 5-year strategic plan is what's coming up, and we look forward to the work that we have in front of us. It's a good time in the city of Trenton, in the Trenton Board of Ed. It's a good time for us. We're in a good place. I really believe that. So we'll go down to teaching and learning with Addie Daniels Lane.
Okay, so good evening. So the Teaching and Learning Committee met on June 24th, and at that time, we reviewed agenda items, including summer programming, after-school and before-school activities for the upcoming school year. We also took a look at various organizations and partnerships that were being proposed for the next school year and during the summer, and professional development for special needs as well as regular education, and also some programming that is projected for gifted and talented for the gifted and talented students that have been identified. There was also, again, information about curriculum writing initiatives that were going to take place. One of the highlights that was addressed was a focus on the computer science curriculum and the fact that it is being revised and let's say strategically set up so that we can continue to progress in terms of the Apple partnership that has been developed, and then how do we best use the Apple devices and equipment to expand and, in fact, enhance learning. We also took a look at the student study trips that were being planned, as well as staff travel for professional development. Additionally, we talked about special ed summer programming that was to be inclusive of engagement with community partners, like the fire department, and that there are very can't talk tonight, district-wide highlights that happened at the end of the school year. There was a restaurant day programming that was shared, as well as a writing as doing presentation where students shared their personal narratives. We had a healthy discussion regarding student progress and how do we obtain accurate reflection of student progress at this particular time. We also talked about referrals continuing to be processed over the summer months, and the fact that child study teams are engaged to actually do that. We also talked about complaints and the fact that complaints are down, and that we also are working on compensatory education for certain services that needed to be addressed. And again, the focus was on getting schools set up for the, getting summer programming set up, and then schools set up for the upcoming school year. And there were a number of programs that were in fact outlined to do that. And the fact is that special ed assignments per building are being set up, discussed, and planned out. And so that was our report for teaching and learning for this particular month. Thank you.
The Operations Committee met on Tuesday also. We reviewed the Secretary's report, Treasurer's report, bill list, and transfers, and a number of the transfers was to ensure that orders were placed and also to cover trips. Our bill list, the bill list was $66,319,713, and that was for May 15th, May 30th, and June 13th. And let's see, okay, and then lastly, we had a ton of donations, and it's very important from my perspective that we acknowledge people that sacrifice for our children. And so the Ross Foundation, the donation of $1,400 to Trenton Central High School. Charles Davis and Henry J. Austin Clinic CEO donated $1,000 to Trenton Central High School. Oh, voice and piano class, nice. Bernadette Stanley, $500, voice and piano class. Juanita Cherry, $100, voice and piano class. The Monumental Baptist Church Music Ministry, $260, Trenton Central High School. Kalyani LLC, $75, voice piano class. I believe that, but no, it isn't. Trenton Central High School VPA, sorry about that. Verlena Reynolds Jackson, $100, Trenton Central High School VPA. Stokes for Mercer County Commissioner, $100, Trenton Central High School VPA. Paulo Scazzari, $30, Trenton Central High School VPA. Cross Community Incorporated, $100 on the 9th grade academy. Fidelis, $1,500 check for family and community engagement. Shine and Inspire, food, toiletry items, and non-perishable food, $500, family and community engagement. Women Who Move Mercer, food, toiletry, and other miscellaneous items, $300, family and community engagement. Horizon, 10 gift cards valued at $250, family and community engagement. WellPoint, $1,500 check, family and community engagement. New Jersey School Boards Association, $1,000 scholarship, Trenton Central High School. And Sustainable New Jersey, $2,000 for Robbins School. So thank you very much for your sacrifice for our children.
Good evening. The Facilities Committee met on last Tuesday on June 24th. We went over the current maintenance project. The Ziegler Building is still underway. Delays are due to the result of PSE&G not performing the required disconnection of the electric main and gas service, so we're still always hanging on them. The electric service upgrade for Franklin, Harrison, and Cadwallader School, the project is 90% complete. Cadwallader will be the last one to be connected. The new elevator addition at Harrison, the permit has been submitted for the new elevator. We're waiting for the New Jersey Department of Education approval letter in order to complete the project. HVAC upgrades, permits have been submitted for Harrison and Franklin. Franklin has permits, and some minor upgrades have begun already during off hours. Now that school is out, the work will continue during the day. It is estimated that these projects will both take roughly a year and a half to complete. Renovation over at Ninth Grade Academy, the contract was awarded to Scazzari Builders. The beginning budget was $15 million, and there's bid came in at 14 and change, so hopefully we can stick to the 15 million with change orders and everything. The district is looking to move forward as of July 1st. The renovations will start in the basement area. 8 additional classrooms and an extensions to the cafeteria will be added, and renovations to the gym teachers' offices will be done. The rest of the projects will work its way through the building. Required maintenance projects, people have been over to the high school. They've seen the cafeteria extension, which is semi-outdoor space with the enclosed area that's being added. And I'm happy to say that the concession stand is now fully functioning, has a fully functioning kitchen, including new sinks, and a hood for the new grill was also installed, and so it should be fully functioning for football season. And then Monument and McKnight, the interior walls, the partitions have been removed, and what they're doing is they're putting up permanent walls in those areas where partitions have stood in the past. And the last thing I asked that maybe you could tell me is about the transfer of the property at MLK and where that stands.
So James Roll in the process of, we met with them, so we just need to coordinate our documents to make the change. So we're at that point. We've had the final meeting, so not sure where you are in that process.
So they are in the process of doing some sort of grant writing or something, and so what we have to do currently is appear before the city to change the boundaries of our parking lot.
Correct.
So the parking lot is off about 100 feet from it's a whole process.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're helping them by providing necessary documentation from us so they can complete their paperwork.
So they can do it.
Yeah.
All right, and then I'd like to fill everybody in on the status of the new school renaming committee. We've had 2 community meetings, and there will be a third, not a community meeting. There will be a group of 7 people that have been selected to go over the applications that have been submitted and score them against a rubric that we have for school renaming. And at that point, we'll, once those are all scored, we can total out and average numbers and come up with the 4 names that we're going to present to the board, probably by the end of the summer. And then the one thing the board is going to have to think about is, because this is it's 2 schools, we have to have 2 school numbers. We do have the ability to select 2 names. So just keep that in mind when we bring the names forward, that, if we want to do it, we can do it. But we need to do it early on. And that's all I have for tonight.
All right, for HR committee, if you have seen the packet of the, let me get it exactly right, the 221 pages that were before you today. Most of it is that Apple programming, all right? It's that Apple training, all right? So, I hope everyone signed up for it, the stipend appointments. But we do have a lot of, essentially, what you see, most of it is in the stipend appointments, and it's to continue the great work and education that we have going on over the summer to make sure that we don't have any specific learning loss from our children while they're not in the normal school year, so they can come back in September as bright and amazing as always. Other than that, we have a few people coming in that we're hiring, and I always highlight those who are retiring from the district. I think the average this time is about, on the nose, 25 years, right? So salute to the 3 people who are retiring at this juncture. And then finally, we have a few different job titles that were updated for you guys' review as well. And that's the end of the HR report.
No, I'm after you. Okay, so for the policy committee, we met recently to look at the policies that need updating. You all have your first reading. That was part of the agenda for today. We are guided by our vendor to ensure that district policies are relevant, current, and compliant. So we're meeting on the third Thursday of this month to continue to review policies to see what else needs to be updated. And I think that's it. That's all I have.
Hello, everyone. The FACE committee met on June 26th, and we discussed next year's parent program, the Parent Connect Parent Talk series. We also discussed the Food Choice Pantry Summer Launch partnership with Amtrak, Aramark, making sure that we have food accessibility for students over the summer. We discussed the Back to School extravaganza that's going to be happening in August, as well as potential PD, professional development opportunities for our parent liaisons within the district, as well as we discussed school attendance initiatives, a little update on our, our billboard campaign and initiatives around increasing school attendance and, making sure that we incentivize our students to come to school. Some of our recommendations for the next conversation is to review some of our school attendance data and to review the district's HIB procedure and policy. That was our report.
Thank you, board committee chairs. We'll now move to public participation. The first name on the list is Terrell Smith. I don't see Terrell, though. Next on the list is Nashia Thompson. Is she here? Okay. Monica Carmichael. I see Monica. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Supervisors Association. Our association unit is representative of principals, directors, vice principals, supervisors, and coordinators who serve students and families and lead various staff settings within the Trenton Public School District. Today, we come before you due to the current status of our contractual negotiations with the district. For those viewing and present who may not understand contractual negotiations, a contractual negotiation refers to the process where 2 groups discuss and modify the terms of a proposal agreement to reach a mutually acceptable work contract. It involves communication, offers, counteroffers, and adjustments until the parties agree on the final terms. The process aims to minimize risk, ensure fairness, and establish a legally binding agreement that protects the interests of our members. Effective and fair negotiation aims to secure the best possible terms for all parties involved, not just one-sided. Last week, our negotiations unfortunately reached an unprecedented impasse, which requires the assistance of a mediator. Today, I come before you on behalf of the Trenton Administrators and Supervisors Association, seeking fair and reasonable outcomes for the work we perform, we commit to, we extend each and every day for our students and families from pre-K to grade 12. Consider the labor, commitment, management it takes for the post-pandemic educational situations, the changing mandates, new populations, and the list goes on and on. We, the Trenton Administrators and Supervisors Association, are not just numbers on a sheet or spreadsheet. We are part of the paradigm shift. We are and have been contributing stakeholders to this district. We lead, we serve, we have goals, we also are human, and we also have feelings. So we ask that you remember that culture matters. Culture and climate aid in how employees' hearts and stomachs feel on Sunday night and Monday morning when they are appreciated. Again, culture matters. Climate matters. Fair contractual bargaining also matters. Let's move to get the contract done. Let's settle now for our members who serve, lead, support for the betterment of our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Richard Klockner. You're not, oh, you're not. Okay, okay. All right, well, thank you so much. That concludes our public participation. We'll now have board discussion and action on the consent agenda. Seeing no discussion on the consent agenda, the motion to move it to action.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Roll call. Yes.
I just have to recuse myself from any action involving the Department of Children and Families, but yes to everything else.
Jean Bowie,
Yes.
Patty Daniels-Lane,
Yes.
Austin Edwards,
Yes.
Yolanda Lopez,
Yes.
Larry Trailer,
Yes.
Jamie Weaver.
Yes, recusing myself from anything to do with grant school.
Motion passed.
We have board member comments at this time. Any board member comments? Seeing none, just one of mine is just to really re-congratulate the graduating class of 2025. This was, I'll tell you one thing, man, it's my first time shaking 800 hands, so I was standing next to the superintendent. I said, man, how many more we got to go? And he looked at me and said, yeah. So it was great. I mean, because here it is, every student they're there individually, even though they're in a group with the class, and every hand I shook was a hand. I shook it with vigor and with congratulations to let them know that they accomplished great things as high school graduates. And I kind of remember back my days, back in 1980, in the 80s, when I graduated, how I felt when I crossed the stage. And then when I crossed the stage from Morehouse College in 2020, in 1988, I had a big smile on my face, and I still have that picture of shaking Leroy Keefe, who was the president of Morehouse at the time. And so that handshake is so very important. So even though I was weary and tired, I stood strong for the Board of Ed and stood in there and shook every 800 students' hands. There was 200, over 200 or so at Dana, right, over at Capital City High School, and of course Courtney, and about 600 or so at Trenton High. So it was an amazing day, board members, and many of you were there and enjoyed it. So those who couldn't know were away and doing different things, and you've been there in the past and been there before and done great work in leadership roles. So those are some of my comments that I wanted to make for tonight. God bless you guys. You got new business? No new business. Go right to executive session. We're making record time here today. All right. Whereas the Open Public Meeting Act codified as NJSA 10:4-6 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting under certain circumstances. Whereas the Trenton Board of Education is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, indicated as follows. Any material considered confidential by the federal law, state statute, or court rule, any pending or anticipated litigation or contract negotiations to which the board is or may become party to, and any matter falling within the attorney-client privilege to the extent that confidentiality is required to preserve the attorney-client relationship and allow the attorney to exercise his or her ethical duties as a lawyer. Matters captioned, settlement in the matter of grievance number 07240473, settlement of the matter of TC, settlement of the matter of PERC, filing CO 224-050, settlement of the matter of AW versus TBOE, approval of 2025-26 administrative contracts, balancing hearings, not having that. Balancing hearings, now therefore be resolved that by the Trenton Board of Education, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, that the executive session will be held on June 3rd, 2025, for the statutorily permissible purposes indicated in this resolution. Be it therefore resolved that action may be taken by the board when it reconvenes in open session. Be it finally resolved that minutes of the executive session with regard to any above subject matter shall be disclosed to the public at a later date, and to the extent that the same is not prejudicial to the interests of the parties involved, no longer adversely affects the public interest, or does not endanger any individual right to privacy. One moment, please. We'll add the superintendent's evaluation as well to our executive session. Motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Probably moved and seconded. All in favor? Actually, got to do roll call. My apologies, board. Roll call.
Gerald Trueheart.
Yes.
Denise Johnson.
Yes.
Jean Booth.
Yes.
Eddie James Lane.
Yes.
Austin Edwards.
Yes.
Yolanda Lopez.
Yes.
Yes.
Presidente. It was bad. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't good.
Gene, leave me.
That's the calorie separation.
All right, back in executive session. I'd like to vote on the matter of agreements number 0724044073.
I motion for us to move the grievance.
I second.
Yes.
Joe Trueheart.
Yes.
Denise Johnson.
Yes.
Gene Bowie.
Yes.
Addie Daniels-Lane.
Yes.
Austin Edwards.
Yes.
Yolanda Lopez.
Yes.
Larry Trailer.
Yes.
Jeannie Weaver.
Yes.
Motion to pass.
7 on the matter of TC.
I move we approve.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Roll call.
Joe Trueheart.
Yes.
Denise Johnson.
Yes.
Gene Bowie.
Yes.
Addie Daniels-Lane.
Yes.
Austin Edwards.
Yes.
Yolanda Lopez.
Yes.
Larry Trailer.
Yes.
Jeannie Weaver.
Yes.
Motion passed.
7 in the matter of AW versus TBOE. Probably moved and seconded.
Wait, which one are we on?
AW versus
Yeah,
TBOE.
I moved that one. Sorry, I thought we were on.
Okay, properly moved.
Oh, who's second?
Who moved?
I move that we approve the settlement in the matter of AW versus
Moved
TBOE.
by Austin,
Second.
second by Jeannie Weekland. Roll call.
Joe Trueheart.
Yes.
Denise Johnson.
Yes.
Gene Bowie.
Yes.
Addie Daniels-Lane.
Yes.
Austin Edwards.
Yes.
Yolanda Lopez. Yes. Larry Trailer.
Yes.
Jeannie Weaver.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Approval of 2025-26 administrator contracts.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Roll call.
Joe Trueheart.
Yes.
Denise Johnson.
Yes.
Gene Bowie.
Yes.
Addie Daniels-Lane.
Yes.
Austin Edwards.
Yes.
Yolanda Lopez.
Yes.
Larry Trailer.
Yes.
Jeannie Weaver. Motion passed.
Yes. Recused from Wilfredo Ortiz.
All right. We good?
Oh, superintendent.
Yep, I know. Okay. Motion to approve superintendent's evaluation.
So moved.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. Roll call. Yes.
Trueheart. Denise Johnson.
Yes.
Gene Bowie.
Yes.
Addie Daniels-Lane.
Yes.
Austin Edwards.
Yes.
Yolanda Lopez.
Yes.
Larry Trailer.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion passed.
So moved.
Probably moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Meeting over.